Beneath the surface of our world, an ancient and relentless rhythm stirs, a force as old as the mountains, as constant as the tides. This is the unseen pulse of the planet, a living heartbeat that echoes through every forest, river, and plain. It is the pulse of life in perpetual motion, a symphony of movement orchestrated by the subtle cues of nature, shifting winds, the angle of sunlight, the scent of rain on distant air. This is the story of migration, of epic animal journeys that unfold with breathtaking precision, each step a testament to survival, each mile a battle against the elements and time itself. These odysseys are not mere wanderings, but urgent quests for life. Driven by the relentless march of seasons, the scarcity of food, and the primal urge to ensure the future, animals traverse landscapes both harsh and beautiful. From the frozen silence of the poles to the shimmering heat of the equator, creatures of every shape and size embark on journeys that test the very limits of endurance. They cross continents and oceans, braving starvation, exhaustion, and the ever-present shadow of predators. Each heartbeat is a gamble, each breath a victory. In these moments, the raw drama of existence is laid bare, a relentless contest of strength, instinct, and willpower, written into the very sinews of every creature. The diversity of these journeys is as vast as the animal kingdom itself. Some move in coordinated masses, their movements synchronized by invisible signals, while others travel in scattered solitude, each guided by a unique internal compass. In the thundering stampede of caribou and wildebeest, the ground itself seems to tremble, a living tide of muscle and bone, surging toward distant horizons in search of safety and sustenance. Others move in close-knit family groups, their bonds forged by shared hardship. The wisdom of elders guides the young, each step a lesson in survival passed down through generations. And some, perhaps the most vulnerable of all, begin their journey alone. A hatchling turtle, a fledgling bird, each propelled by instinct, each facing a world of peril with nothing but hope and inherited memory. Every journey is a high-stakes wager, a race where the margin for error is razor-thin. Hunger, fatigue, and danger lurk at every turn, and only the most resilient will see their journey's end. Guided by ancient maps etched into their very being, animals navigate by the sun's arc, the pull of the moon, the shimmer of stars, and the invisible lines of the Earth's magnetic field, an internal guidance system honed over millennia. In the wild rivers of Alaska, the return of salmon triggers a cascade of life. Bears, eagles, and forests themselves depend on this annual surge, each link in the chain bound to the fate of a single remarkable fish. Here, a mother bear leads her cubs through a gauntlet of hazards, rushing water, lurking predators, and the ever-present hunger. Her every decision a matter of life and death for her family. High above, a young eagle takes its first leap into the unknown, wings trembling as it rides the currents. Each beat is a test of instinct, each glide a lesson in survival written in the language of the wild. The Alaskan wilderness, both breathtaking and unforgiving, becomes a stage for stories of endurance and sacrifice. Here, every life is shaped by the relentless rhythm of nature, every moment a struggle against the odds. Our journey now turns north to the stark frozen expanse of the Arctic, a world sculpted by ice and wind, where survival demands both strength and ingenuity. Here a mother polar bear leads her cubs across a shifting maze of ice, each step a perilous search for seals. The ice beneath their paws grows thinner each year, the world they know melting away with the seasons. Arctic foxes, tireless and resourceful, work together to feed their young, hunting beneath the snow, listening for the faintest sound of prey, their lives a delicate balance between feast and famine. The great herds of caribou press onward, crossing rivers and tundra in a relentless march toward calving grounds, their journey a living thread that weaves through the Arctic's vast tapestry. In this extreme environment, every day is a test of endurance, Blizzards sweep across the land, temperatures plummet, and only the most resilient survive the long, dark winter. This is a world of astonishing beauty and profound fragility, a place where the unseen pulse of the planet beats strongest, shaping the destinies of all who call it home. The epic saga of Alaska's great animal migrations begins far from the rugged coastline, deep within the cold, rolling expanse of the North Pacific Ocean. Here, in the shadowy blue, the story of the salmon unfolds, a tale of endurance, instinct, and survival that has played out for millennia. Beneath the waves, 500 million pink salmon gather in vast, shifting schools. Each fish is a marvel of adaptation, their bodies streamlined for the open sea, their scales catching the faint sunlight that filters down from above. An ancient, irresistible urge stirs within them. Guided by a mysterious internal clock, they sense the changing seasons and begin to orient themselves toward the distant rivers of their birth. The journey ahead is long and perilous, spanning up to 2,000 miles across a vast, featureless ocean. The salmon must navigate powerful ocean currents, unpredictable storms, and shifting temperatures. They rely on an internal compass attuned to the Earth's magnetic field to chart a course through the open sea, a feat of navigation that rivals any in the animal kingdom. As they near the coast, the water grows shallower, and the scent of fresh water drifts on the currents. Salmon possess an extraordinary sense of smell, allowing them to detect the unique chemical signature of their natal stream, even after years in the open ocean. The transition from saltwater to freshwater is a dramatic physiological challenge. Their bodies must rapidly adjust to the new environment, a process that taxes their strength and leaves them vulnerable. Danger is ever present. The ocean is a realm of predators. Salmon, sharks, larger fish, and even marine mammals patrol these waters, ever watchful for the weak or the unwary. Only a fraction of the salmon will survive this gauntlet. It is estimated that just 5% will reach the safety of the coast. At the river's mouth, the true test begins. The water is colder, the current relentless. The salmon must summon every reserve of energy to push upstream, their bodies battered by rocks and rapids. They leap up waterfalls, sometimes as high as 4-story buildings, propelled by sheer determination. Each obstacle is a crucible, separating the strongest from the rest. As they ascend, the salmon undergo a remarkable transformation. Their sleek silver bodies darken and develop vibrant hues. Males grow hooked jaws and humped backs, their features sharpened by the single-minded drive to spawn. The journey exacts a heavy toll. Fins are torn, scales scraped away, and energy reserves dwindle. For every 1,000 salmon that began this odyssey, only 2 will reach the spawning grounds. The survivors, battered and spent, finally arrive at the shallow gravel beds of their natal streams. Here the water runs clear and cold, the current gentle but insistent. Female salmon use their tails to dig nests called redds in the gravel. With careful precision, they lay their eggs, each one a fragile promise of the next generation. Males fertilize the eggs, their final act in a life defined by movement and struggle. The cycle of life is complete, but the story does not end here. Exhausted, the salmon succumb to the current. Their bodies, now lifeless, drift downstream or settle among the stones, returning vital nutrients to the river. The death of the salmon is a gift to the ecosystem. Their remains nourish the riverbanks, feeding insects, birds, and mammals, and enriching the soil with marine nutrients carried from the distant ocean. Even the towering trees of the Alaskan forests benefit. Scientists have found that trees growing along salmon rivers can grow up to 3 times faster, their roots drawing sustenance from the nutrients left behind by the salmon. The salmon's journey, from ocean to river and back to the earth, is the foundation of life in these wild places. Their sacrifice sustains an entire web of life, linking ocean, river, and forest in a cycle as old as time. Their story is a testament to the power of instinct, the drama of survival, and the profound interconnectedness of all living things. In the silent, wind-swept heights of a snow-blanketed mountain, a brown bear mother slowly pushes her way out of her den, the first rays of spring sunlight glinting off her thick, matted fur. The world outside is harsh and unforgiving, but she is driven by a primal urgency. Her cubs depend on her for every breath, every heartbeat. For half a year she has lain in darkness, her body sustained only by the fat she stored last autumn. During this time, she gave birth to 2 tiny cubs, nurturing them in the warmth of her body, her own strength ebbing away with every day. Now, as she emerges, her frame is gaunt, her muscles weak, but her resolve is unbroken. Hunger gnaws at her relentlessly, but her first instinct is to guide her cubs, barely more than a handful of fur, into the blinding white wilderness. Their journey is not a choice, but a necessity. The mountain offers no mercy, and the valley below, rich with the promise of salmon, is their only hope. The descent is perilous. Jagged rocks and deep drifts of snow conceal hidden dangers. The river glimmers far below, a ribbon of life in a world of ice, but the path to reach it is fraught with risk at every step. Her cubs, wide-eyed and unsteady, stumble through the snow, their tiny paws sinking with each uncertain step. They are utterly defenseless, their survival bound to their mothers, every decision and movement. The slopes are treacherous, the snow unstable. The mother tests each step, her senses sharpened by necessity. She listens for the subtle groan of shifting snow, alert to the ever-present threat of an avalanche that could sweep her family away in an instant. Every movement is deliberate. She glances back constantly, urging her cubs to follow in her tracks, teaching them the safest path through instinct and example. For these young bears, a single slip could mean disaster. The mountain is not only a test of physical endurance, but a gauntlet of unseen threats. The mother's mind is a constant churn of calculation, where to rest, when to move, how to avoid danger. The greatest peril, however, comes from her own kind. The scent of other bears lingers on the wind, a warning she cannot ignore. Massive males, their bodies built for dominance, patrol these slopes. Their presence is a constant shadow, a threat that forces the mother to remain ever vigilant. These males are driven by instinct to eliminate the cubs, ensuring the cycle of life continues on their terms. The mother must use every ounce of her cunning to keep her young hidden, moving silently through the landscape, always alert for the telltale signs of danger. Her senses are heightened, ears twitching at the faintest sound, nose testing the air for unfamiliar scents. She leads her cubs away from open ground, seeking cover in the tangled undergrowth or behind rocky outcrops, always searching for safety. Yet the odds are cruel. In this unforgiving world, only half of all cubs will survive their first year. The mother knows this, though she cannot dwell on it. Her focus must remain on the present, on each moment's challenge. Every pause, every glance is a calculation. The mother's anxiety is palpable, her protective instincts fierce. She is the sole guardian of her cubs' fragile lives. In a moment of distraction, disaster strikes. One cub vanishes from sight, swallowed by the vastness of the wilderness. Panic surges through the mother. She scours the landscape, her heart pounding, calling softly with low grunts, her nose pressed to the ground, desperate for a familiar scent. The lost cub, alone and bewildered, is dwarfed by the immensity of the mountain. Every shadow is a threat, every sound a potential predator. Against the odds, the mother's persistence pays off. The cub, drawn by her scent and the sound of her voice, stumbles back into her embrace. Relief floods the mother, her bond with her cub reaffirmed in this moment of reunion. But the mountain's trials are relentless. Later, the mother returns with only one cub. The other is gone, claimed by the unforgiving wild, perhaps a victim of a rival bear, perhaps simply lost to the elements. The loss is silent, but profound. The mother lingers for a moment, her gaze fixed on the empty snow before turning away. There is no time for mourning. Survival demands her full attention. With a heavy heart, she presses on, her remaining cub now the sole focus of her fierce determination. Every lesson, every ounce of protection is now for this one survivor. After weeks of hardship, the mother and her cub finally reach the river estuary. Here the air is thick with the scent of salmon, and the water teems with life. For a brief time the dangers of the mountain recede, replaced by the promise of abundance. The mother wastes no time. She plunges into the river, her movements swift and practiced, snatching salmon from the rushing water. Each catch is a victory, each mouthful a step toward recovery. Over the next 2.5 months, she devours as much as she can, her body slowly regaining the mass lost to hibernation and hardship. She must gain over 200 pounds before the cold returns. Her cub, ever watchful, mimics her every move, learning the art of fishing through trial and error. These lessons are vital. The skills learned now will one day mean the difference between life and death. As the days shorten and the air grows crisp, the mother leads her cub back up the mountain, retracing their perilous path. One survivor, stronger and wiser, follows in her footsteps, carrying forward the legacy of endurance and maternal devotion. High above the forest floor, where the wind whispers through the uppermost branches of an ancient 80-foot tree, a young bald eagle stands poised on the precipice of its nest. The world below is a tapestry of green, dappled with sunlight and shadow, but up here the air is thin and the stakes are high. The eagle's heart pounds with anticipation and uncertainty. Today everything changes. The juvenile, feathers now mottled brown and white, surveys its surroundings with sharp amber eyes. For weeks it has watched the world from this vantage point, feeling the sway of the tree and the wind, learning the scents and sounds of the wild. Its parents have been tireless providers, bringing fish and small mammals to the nest, shielding their offspring from storms and predators. The nest, a fortress of sticks and leaves, has been a sanctuary, safe, familiar, and nurturing. But the time for comfort has ended. The nest is now empty of siblings, and the parents' visits have grown infrequent. Hunger gnaws at the young eagle's belly, urging it toward the unknown. Instinct compels it to the edge. The wind ruffles its feathers as it spreads its wings, feeling the invisible currents that will soon decide its fate. The moment to fledge has arrived, a leap into the vast, unpredictable world. With a surge of courage, the young eagle pushes off. For a heartbeat, it plummets, wings flailing before the air catches beneath its outstretched feathers. The sensation is both terrifying and exhilarating, a first taste of true freedom. Its flight is awkward, unsteady. Each beat of its wings is a struggle against gravity and inexperience. Yet, deep within, ancient instincts guide its movements, helping it find balance and direction. Alone now, the young eagle glides above the treetops, the world stretching endlessly in every direction. The safety of the nest is gone, replaced by the daunting expanse of sky and earth. Below, the river that once teemed with salmon is growing quiet as the season shifts. The bounty that sustained its family is dwindling, and the chill of approaching winter hangs in the air. Driven by hunger and instinct, the eagle embarks on a solitary migration, an epic 2-month journey spanning 800 miles. Its destination? A distant river in British Columbia, where the final salmon run of the year promises one last feast. The path ahead is fraught with uncertainty. The eagle's eyes scan the landscape for danger and opportunity, every shadow and ripple a potential threat or meal. It is a novice in a world that offers no second chances. Hunting is a lesson in failure. Time and again the young eagle dives for fish, only to come up empty-taloned, water streaming from its feathers. Each miss is a reminder of its inexperience, each attempt a step toward mastery. The odds are grim. 1/3 of all juveniles will perish in their first year, claimed by starvation, storms, or fatal missteps. The wild is indifferent, its challenges relentless. Each day is a test of resilience. The eagle battles fierce winds, driving rain, and the numbing cold of autumn nights. Hunger sharpens its senses, and exhaustion becomes a constant companion. To survive, the eagle must adapt. It learns to watch for subtle movements in the water, to read the patterns of fish, and to seize every fleeting opportunity. Along the way, it encounters other eagles, veterans of the sky, their flight sure and purposeful. The young bird studies their techniques, learning from their success and their failures. When hunting fails, it turns to scavenging. Picking at the remains left by others, it discovers that survival sometimes means taking what is left behind. The young eagle shadows experienced adults waiting patiently as they hunt. It watches, learns, and waits for the perfect moment to act. With a flash of boldness, it seizes opportunities to steal a meal, darting in to snatch a fish from a distracted rival. It is a dangerous game, but one that can mean the difference between life and death. Each stolen meal is a triumph, a hard-won reward that fuels the next leg of its journey. The taste of fresh fish is a reminder of what is at stake. The landscape is a living classroom. The eagle learns to read the river's currents, to anticipate the movements of prey, and to recognize the signs of danger from above and below. The apprenticeship is harsh and unforgiving. Each day brings new challenges, bitter winds, sudden storms, and the ever-present threat of starvation. Yet, with every trial, the eagle grows stronger, wiser, and more determined. After weeks of relentless travel, battered by the elements and tested by hunger, the young eagle finally glimpses its destination, a broad river shimmering in the pale autumn light. The riverbank is alive with the calls of hundreds of eagles, all drawn by the promise of the last great salmon run. The air vibrates with energy and competition. The young eagle joins the throng, its voice rising in chorus with the others as they feast on the exhausted fish. Here, for a brief moment, the struggle gives way to abundance. At last, the eagle finds sanctuary, a place to rest, to recover, and to reflect on the journey that has shaped it. Against all odds, it has completed its first great migration. The lessons of hardship and perseverance are etched into every feather. It has learned to hunt, to scavenge, to steal, and above all, to survive in a world that offers no guarantees. Among its own kind, the young eagle gathers strength for the winter ahead. The gamble has paid off, for now. In the wild, every day is a new challenge, and every victory is hard won. But for this young eagle, the journey has only just begun. In the endless, blinding white of the Arctic, silence reigns. A polar bear mother, gaunt and weary, pushes her way out from the sheltering darkness of her snow den. The wind bites at her fur, and the cold is absolute. Temperatures plunge well below freezing, and the air is thick with drifting snow. She is a shadow against the vast, frozen landscape, her breath visible in the frigid air. For 3 relentless months she has remained hidden beneath the snow, nursing her 2 tiny cubs, each no larger than a guinea pig at birth. Every day she surrenders precious reserves of fat, losing up to 2 pounds from her own body to sustain her offspring. Her ribs are visible beneath her thick coat, a testament to the sacrifice demanded by motherhood in this unforgiving world. Now, with the den behind them, the family faces a daunting Odyssey. The cubs, unsteady and wide-eyed, follow their mother into the blinding glare of the Arctic day. Each step is a struggle through deep snow and biting wind, their tiny paws barely making a mark in the endless white. Their destination lies over 100 miles away, the frozen sea ice of Hudson Bay. This is the only place where the mother can hunt, and every mile is a test of endurance. The tundra stretches before them, a vast open plain of snow and ice, broken only by the occasional ridge or drift. The sea ice is a lifeline. Here the mother employs her most vital hunting tactic, patience. She locates the breathing holes of ringed seals, her keen sense of smell guiding her beneath the wind. For hours she waits motionless, blending into the ice, every muscle tensed for the moment a seal surfaces. But the ice is thinner than ever before, fractured and shrinking beneath their paws. Without it, the bears are stranded, unable to reach their prey. Hunger gnaws at the mother, and her cubs grow weaker with each passing day. Her fat reserves are nearly depleted. The cubs, still dependent on her milk, are at the mercy of her success. Every failed hunt brings them closer to the brink. The journey across the tundra is perilous. The snow conceals hidden dangers, cracks in the ice, sudden storms, and the ever-present threat of predators. The mother leads her cubs with unwavering determination, her senses alert to every sound and scent. This is also the domain of the Arctic wolf. A pack, lean and hungry after the long winter, picks up the scent of the vulnerable family. The wolves move silently, their white coats blending with the snow, eyes fixed on the cubs. The mother stands her ground, massive and imposing. She positions herself between the wolves and her cubs, baring her teeth and roaring into the wind. The wolves, wary of her size and strength, eventually melt back into the tundra, but the threat lingers. With danger behind them, the family finally reaches the edge of the frozen sea. The mother steps onto the ice, her cubs following hesitantly, their world now a shifting mosaic of white and blue. For the next 4 months, they will be nomads traversing a 2,000-mile expanse of ever-changing ice. The mother's paws are wide and furred, perfect for gripping the slick surface, but the ice is unpredictable, cracking, drifting, and melting beneath them. Hunting is a game of patience and skill. The mother waits by a seal's breathing hole, motionless for hours, her nose twitching as she listens for the faintest sound. When a seal finally surfaces, she strikes with lightning speed, her massive paws crashing through the ice. Yet success is never guaranteed. The warming climate has changed everything. The Arctic is warming at twice the rate of the rest of the planet. The sea ice breaks up earlier each year, shrinking the window for hunting and forcing the bears to travel farther and riskier distances. The hunting season is now shorter by as much as a month. For a mother with cubs, this lost time can mean the difference between survival and starvation. The journey is merciless. As the weeks pass, one of the cubs weakens, unable to keep up with the relentless pace and the scarcity of food. One morning the mother awakens to find only one cub at her side. The other, lost to the cold and hunger, has vanished into the endless white, a silent casualty of the Arctic's harsh reality. The loss is profound, but the mother cannot stop. The ice beneath her is vanishing, and she must press on for the sake of her remaining cub. As the last of the sea ice melts away, mother and cub are left adrift, isolated on a small, fragile floe. Their only hope is to ride the drifting ice, a precarious 100-mile journey across open, frigid water. The floe creaks and shifts beneath their weight, and the ocean yawns on all sides. At last, they reach the distant shore. Exhausted, soaked and hungry, they haul themselves onto the rocky coastline, but the struggle is far from over. The land is patrolled by large, aggressive male polar bears, each desperate for food. The mother must be bold and cunning, seizing a rare opportunity to snatch a chunk of beluga whale carcass while the males are distracted. This stolen meal is a lifeline, providing the vital nourishment she and her cub need to recover from their ordeal. As the Arctic twilight descends, the mother and her surviving cub return to the denning grounds. Here they will wait for the ice to return, and with it another chance at survival in a world that grows harsher with every passing year. In the far reaches of the Arctic, where the land is sculpted by wind and ice, life persists against all odds. Here the wild is ruled by the rhythm of the seasons, and every creature must adapt to survive. The male Arctic fox, a solitary figure through the endless polar night, emerges as the snow begins to thaw. His fur, once a perfect camouflage against the winter white, now stands out against the awakening tundra. Driven by hunger and instinct, he has roamed for months, sometimes covering more than 1,000 miles, tracing invisible trails across the frozen expanse in search of the smallest morsel. The Arctic offers little mercy, and only the most resourceful endure. But as the sun lingers longer in the sky, his purpose shifts. the promise of spring calls him back to the den he once shared, where a reunion awaits beneath the low, sprawling willows. Arctic foxes are among the few mammals in this harsh land to form lasting bonds. At the den's entrance he greets his mate, their reunion a silent testament to loyalty and survival. Together they nurture a new generation, 5 tiny pups, blind and helpless, relying entirely on their parents for warmth and sustenance. The father's role is relentless. Each day he scours the tundra, weaving through rocks and snowdrifts, returning with lemmings, birds, or eggs clutched in his jaws. Every successful hunt is a victory against starvation. His world narrows to a single mission: to keep his family alive. The hunt is ceaseless, the stakes impossibly high. He sniffs out hidden prey beneath stones and snow, his senses finely tuned to the faintest movement or scent. Each meal is hard-won, and every failure could mean hunger for his pups. As the season progresses, his search leads him to the towering sea cliffs, where the air is thick with the cries of nesting seabirds. Here, life gathers in abundance and opportunity awaits. Among the boulders he stalks little auks, darting between rocks with practiced stealth. Each catch is swiftly carried back to the den, a lifeline for his growing family. Above, thousands of Murres crowd the narrow ledges, their raucous calls echoing across the cliffs. They, too, are locked in a struggle to raise their young in this unforgiving place. The fox waits patiently below, knowing that soon the chicks will attempt their first perilous flight, a moment that could mean feast or famine for his family. In this vast, ever-changing wilderness, the Arctic fox is a master of adaptation, ingenious, determined, and fiercely devoted to his kin. His survival is a testament to the power of resilience. Not far away, the tundra trembles beneath the hooves of a different traveler. The caribou, icons of the Arctic, are on the move. Among them, a pregnant female joins a vast herd, over 100,000 strong, embarking on a 300-mile migration across the open tundra. Their journey is ancient, etched into memory and instinct. They travel toward ancestral calving grounds, a sanctuary where generations have been born and raised, sheltered from many of the Arctic's predators. To reach this haven, the herd must cross the formidable Brooks Range, mountains that rise like frozen waves, their peaks lost in cloud and snow. The climb is grueling, the air thin and cold. When the calf is finally born, it stands on trembling legs, vulnerable to the ever-watchful eyes of predators. But the greatest threat is yet to come. As the brief Arctic summer arrives, swarms of mosquitoes rise from the thawing wetlands, blanketing the herd in a relentless cloud. The insect's bites sap strength and blood, testing the endurance of even the strongest calves. For the youngest, the onslaught can be fatal. Mosquitoes can drain half a pint of blood from a single animal each day, and their torment claims the lives of 1 in 4 calves before summer's end. To escape, mothers lead their calves to higher, wind-swept ridges, where the insects are fewer and the air is cooler. The climb is steep, but the reward is survival, yet the journey is fraught with new dangers. Rushing rivers, swollen with meltwater, cut across their path. The herd must cross, risking everything in the churning current. Many are swept downstream, the weakest lost to the icy water. Only the strongest and most determined survive the crossing. A mother's knowledge and strength are her calf's best hope. She urges her young forward, guiding it to safety with gentle nudges and unwavering resolve. At last, the survivors reach the lush summer pastures. Here, the herd grazes and regains its strength, the cycle of life continuing in the brief window of Arctic abundance. High above, on the sheer cliffs, Murres chicks, barely 3 weeks old and still flightless, gather at the edge. Their parents call from below, urging them onward. In a moment of instinct and courage, the chicks leap, tumbling through the air toward the distant sea. Their journey is perilous, but it is the only path to survival, marking the start of a 2,000-mile migration. Not all will make it. Some fall short, becoming a vital meal for the ever-watchful Arctic fox and his hungry brood. In this land of extremes, every life is intertwined, and survival is both a triumph and a sacrifice. As the first golden rays of dawn spill across the endless Serengeti, the plains awaken with a chorus of life. The air is crisp, filled with the scent of dew-soaked grass, and the distant calls of birds echoing over the vast expanse. Here, in the heart of East Africa, the cycle of life begins anew. In a quiet hollow, a wildebeest foal blinks into the world, its coat still slick from birth. It is one of thousands born on this single day, each a fragile hope in a landscape where survival is never guaranteed. The calf's mother stands protectively over it, her instincts sharpened by generations of migration and hardship. The foal's first challenge is immediate and unforgiving. With trembling legs, it struggles to rise, driven by an ancient urgency. Within minutes, it must stand, then walk, and soon after, run, its only defense against the ever-watchful predators that prowl the grasslands. Hyenas lurk at the edges of the herd, their eyes fixed on the vulnerable and the slow. The herd is a living shield, but it is also a crucible. Less than half of these newborns will see their first birthday. The foal, still unsteady, is swept into the moving mass, an ocean of bodies surging across the plains, each animal driven by the same primal need, to find food, to stay alive. The great migration is underway, a relentless thundering tide of wildebeest and zebras, numbering in the millions. They move as one, hooves drumming the earth, dust rising in swirling clouds. Their journey is dictated by the rains, the promise of fresh grass drawing them ever onward across the savannah. From the southern Serengeti, the herds push northward, covering 1,000 miles toward the Masai Mara. Among them, a zebra foal takes its first tentative steps. Its legs are spindly but strong, guided by instinct and the gentle nudge of its mother. The zebra is born into a tightly bonded family group, a harem led by a vigilant stallion. The adults form a living barrier, their bodies pressed close, their senses attuned to every movement in the grass. This unity is their greatest strength, a shield against the dangers that stalk the open plains. When a cheetah explodes from the cover of the grass, the herd reacts in a heartbeat. The zebras close ranks, hooves flashing, teeth bared, driving the predator back with a coordinated defense. The foal, heart-pounding, learns the lesson of vigilance and the power of the herd. The journey is a test of endurance. Day after day, the young must keep pace with the relentless march, their hooves wearing tracks into the earth. Every step is shadowed by danger. Lions, leopards, and crocodiles lie in wait, and the ever-present threat of exhaustion or injury lingers. As the herds approach the Mara River, the landscape shifts. The grass gives way to steep, muddy banks and the roar of rushing water. The river is swollen from the rains, its current swift and unpredictable, a formidable barrier between the herds and the promise of new grazing lands. The pressure of thousands of bodies behind leaves no room for hesitation. Wildebeest and zebra are driven forward, plunging into the churning water. The river becomes a maelstrom of panic and instinct, each animal fighting for a foothold, for breath, for survival. Beneath the surface, ancient predators await. Nile crocodiles, silent and patient, launch themselves at the chaos above, seizing the unwary and the weak. The river claims many, some dragged under by jaws, others lost to the crush of the herd or the force of the current. For the youngest, the crossing is a gauntlet. Calves and foals are swept away, their cries lost in the tumult. Some are pulled beneath the surface, others trampled in the desperate surge for the far bank. A zebra foal, caught in the current, is torn from its mother's side. Alone it paddles furiously, its small body battered by the swirling water. For a moment it seems the river will claim another victim, but instinct and determination prevail. With a final effort, the foal claws its way up the muddy bank, collapsing in exhaustion. Moments later, its mother finds it, nuzzling her offspring with relief. Together, they rejoin the herd, stepping onto the lush pastures of the Mara, survivors of one of nature's greatest journeys, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. In the heart of the African wilderness, beneath a sky bleached pale by the relentless sun, a baby elephant takes his first trembling steps. He is born into a world where survival is a daily struggle, and every breath is a testament to resilience. The land around him is gripped by the fiercest drought in living memory. The earth is split and broken, its surface a mosaic of deep cracks and dust, stretching as far as the eye can see. Once rich grasslands have faded to brittle stubble, and the rivers that once carved life through the savannah have vanished, leaving only ghostly traces in the sand. The air shimmers with heat, and every step kicks up clouds of powdery dust. In this harsh world, the fate of the herd rests on the wisdom and memory of the matriarch. She is the oldest and most experienced, her every wrinkle a record of past journeys and hard-won survival. Her mind is a living map, etched with the secret locations of waterholes and ancient migratory routes. She carries the collective memory of generations, guiding her family with unwavering determination. With the calf nestled close to his mother, the herd sets out across the scorched plains. Each day is a test of endurance, as they march in single file, their massive feet stirring the dust, their trunks searching the air for the faintest scent of moisture. The matriarch leads them to a dry riverbed, its banks eroded and barren. The herd pauses, their bodies caked in dust, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of relief. The matriarch lowers her trunk, sweeping it across the sand. She senses the subtle coolness beneath the surface, the promise of water hidden deep below. With powerful, deliberate movements, she begins to dig. Her trunk and feet work in unison, scooping away the hot sand deeper and deeper until at last a dark, damp patch appears. The herd gathers eagerly around the shallow well, their trunks reaching in to draw up the precious cool water. For a moment the tension eases, and the calf drinks his fill, his thirst quenched by his grandmother's wisdom. But the journey is far from over. The water is soon depleted, and the herd must move on, driven by the unyielding demands of the drought. The matriarch leads them onward, her senses attuned to the faintest vibrations in the earth, her ears catching distant rumbles that hint at storms far away. The calf, curious and inexperienced, explores the world with wide eyes. Every step is a lesson, every obstacle a new challenge. At times the journey is perilous. The calf stumbles, sometimes slipping into hidden hollows or getting stuck in the soft sand, his small size making him vulnerable to exhaustion and dehydration. But the herd is united. When danger strikes, they rally together, using their trunks and bodies to help the calf, lifting and nudging him back to safety. Their bond is their strength, forged by hardship and necessity. The landscape offers little mercy. Trees stand gaunt and leafless, their branches reaching skyward like skeletal fingers. The sun beats down mercilessly, and the air is thick with the scent of dust and distant fires. Scattered across the plains are the silent reminders of those who did not survive, bleached bones half buried in the sand, a stark warning of the stakes at play. For the young calf, every day is a battle. The first year is the most dangerous, with hunger, thirst and fatigue always lurking at the edges of survival. As the days stretch on, the herd grows weaker. Their pace slows, and their calls grow softer, but they press forward, driven by hope and the matriarch's unwavering resolve. One evening, as the sun dips low and the air cools, the matriarch pauses. She lifts her trunk, feeling for vibrations in the earth, listening for the distant thunder of rain. Far on the horizon dark clouds gather, and the low rumble of a distant storm vibrates through the ground. The matriarch knows what it means, water and the promise of life. The wind shifts, carrying the scent of rain. The herd lifts their trunks, tasting the air, their spirits rising with the hope of relief. With renewed energy they follow the matriarch, moving steadily toward the gathering storm. Each step brings them closer to salvation. At last the heavens open. Rain pours down in torrents, drenching the earth and the elephants alike. The herd trumpets in delight, their joy echoing across the savannah. The elephants drink deeply, their trunks sucking up the cool, fresh water. They splash and roll in the mud, their bodies caked in the life-giving earth, their spirits renewed. The transformation is astonishing. Within days the landscape bursts into life. Grasses sprout, trees unfurl new leaves, and the air is filled with the scent of growth and renewal. The herd rests at last, their journey at an end. The matriarch stands watchful, her family gathered close, the young calf safe and thriving in the green embrace of the savannah. Against all odds, the calf has survived his first and greatest trial, guided by the wisdom of his grandmother and the unbreakable unity of his family. In the wild, every journey for water is a story of hope, endurance, and the enduring power of family. The great journeys of Africa are not reserved solely for the giants that stride across the plains. In the heart of this wild continent, even the most delicate and unassuming creatures embark on odysseys of astonishing scale and complexity. At the edge of a shimmering lake, a young female flamingo stands poised, her pale feathers ruffled by the morning breeze. She is about to begin a journey that will transform her very being, a quest shaped by instinct, endurance, and the relentless cycles of nature. Her wings carry her to Lake Bogoria, a place where the water shimmers with a caustic, mineral-rich sheen. For most animals, this toxic, saline expanse would spell certain death. But for the flamingo, it is a sanctuary, a world apart, where few dare to follow. Here she lowers her head into the briny shallows, her specialized beak filtering the water for the blue-green spirulina algae that flourish in these extreme conditions. With each sweep of her beak she gathers the microscopic algae, a food source so rich it will soon work a miracle upon her body. Over the course of 3 weeks her diet transforms her. The pigments in the algae infuse her feathers, turning them from a ghostly white to a dazzling, almost surreal pink, a living signal to the world that she is healthy, strong, and ready to breed. Among the throngs of flamingos, her vibrant color is a badge of honor, a declaration of her readiness to take part in one of nature's most spectacular rituals. With renewed strength, she stretches her wings and lifts off, joining a swirling ballet of pink bodies rising above the lake. Together, they soar across the sky, a living ribbon of color, seeking the next lake where the ancient dance of courtship will unfold. In the shallows, thousands of flamingos gather, moving in perfect synchrony. Heads bob, wings flare, and feet stamp in a mesmerizing display, a courtship dance that has echoed across millennia. Amidst the throng, she finds a partner. Together they mirror each other's movements, forging a bond that will carry them through the next perilous stage. Their journey leads them to Lake Natron, a place of haunting beauty and lethal extremes. The water here is so alkaline it can burn flesh, yet it is the only place safe enough to raise their young. On the crusted, mineral-encrusted shore, the pair builds a nest of mud, carefully shaping it above the caustic waterline. Here, their single precious egg will be shielded from predators by the very harshness that defines this place. Against all odds, a new generation will hatch, its survival owed to the resilience and ingenuity of its parents. Yet the drama of migration is not reserved for the flamboyant or the mighty. On the sun-baked earth, a dung beetle begins a journey no less epic. With astonishing strength it fashions a perfect sphere of dung, its prize and its future. Clutching the ball with spiny legs, the beetle pushes it across the savannah, undeterred by obstacles many times its size. Guided by the sun, the beetle charts a straight course, never wavering, using celestial cues to outmaneuver rivals and reach a safe place to bury its treasure. These journeys, whether by wing or by foot, in the air or beneath the soil, are the living threads that bind the tapestry of life together. Each migration, each trek, is part of a vast, interconnected web. The movements of one species ripple outward, shaping the fate of countless others. When salmon surge upstream, their struggle nourishes entire forests, their bodies feeding predators and enriching the soil for new growth. The thundering herds of wildebeest sustain lions, hyenas, and crocodiles, while their droppings fertilize the grasslands, ensuring the cycle of life continues. And beneath it all, the humble dung beetle toils, recycling 3/4 of the Serengeti's dung. Its labor returns vital nutrients to the earth, nurturing the grass that feeds the herds, and in turn, the predators that follow. Every journey, no matter how grand or modest, is a vital thread in the intricate fabric of our planet's ecosystems. Each is essential, each is irreplaceable. In witnessing these remarkable odysseys, we see more than a struggle for survival. We see the triumph of adaptation, the beauty of resilience, and the power of nature's ingenuity. From the flamingo's transformation in toxic waters to the beetle's tireless journey beneath the sun, these animals reveal breathtaking courage, profound intelligence, and an unyielding will to thrive. Whether soaring alone above the mountains, moving as one in a vast herd, nurturing young in the wild, or rolling a ball of hope across the plains, each creature plays its part in the grand story of life. Their perseverance in the face of adversity is both humbling and inspiring, a testament to the enduring spirit of the natural world. These ancient migrations are more than mere survival, they are a living pulse, a sign of the planet's health and vitality. As the world changes, these journeys remind us of the strength found in unity, adaptation, and the wild's enduring hope. Let us draw inspiration from their endurance and recognize our shared responsibility to safeguard the wild places that make these epic journeys possible. For as long as flamingos take flight over caustic lakes and beetles roll their treasures beneath the sun, there is hope that these extraordinary journeys will continue, woven into the living legacy of our planet for generations yet to come. Across continents and over mountains, a delicate traveler embarks on one of nature's grandest odysseys. The monarch butterfly, weighing less than a paperclip, sets out on a journey that will span thousands of kilometers, a migration that is both astonishing in scale and breathtaking in its precision. In late summer, as the days grow shorter and the air cools, millions of monarchs gather in the fields and forests of North America. Their brilliant orange and black wings catch the light as they flutter skyward, drawn south by a force no single butterfly has ever experienced before. For each individual, this is a first and a last migration. The monarchs that begin this journey will never return. Yet, guided by an inherited memory, they know exactly where to go. Their path is fraught with peril. Storms sweep across the landscape, tossing the fragile insects on turbulent winds. Many are lost to sudden downpours or snatched by birds that patrol the skies. Yet, undeterred, the monarchs press onward, riding thermal currents high above forests and farmlands, navigating by the sun and the Earth's magnetic field. Each night, they descend in shimmering clouds to rest, blanketing trees and shrubs in a living quilt of orange. As they move south, the monarchs must find patches of blooming wildflowers to fuel their journey. Their long, slender proboscises probe the blossoms for nectar, the energy that sustains their flight. But as habitats shrink and the wildflowers grow scarce, every meal becomes a race against time and exhaustion. After weeks of relentless travel, the monarchs reach the rugged mountains of central Mexico. Here, in the cool, mist-shrouded forests of Oyamel fir, the butterflies gather by the millions. They cluster together on the branches, layering themselves one atop another, forming dense, living tapestries that sway gently in the breeze. The forest becomes a sanctuary, protecting them from the winter's chill. For months, the monarchs remain in this suspended state, conserving energy as the world outside slumbers. When spring's warmth returns, the butterflies stir, their wings trembling in the sun. They mate, and the cycle begins anew. The next generation will journey northward, laying eggs on milkweed plants along the way. It will take 4 successive generations, each living only a few weeks, to complete the full round trip, a relay of life that spans an entire continent. Each monarch's journey is a marvel of endurance and navigation, a testament to the resilience encoded in fragile wings. Their migration knits together distant ecosystems, linking forests in Mexico to meadows in Canada. As they travel, monarchs pollinate countless flowers, supporting the wild tapestry of life that depends on their passage. In the silent sweep of their wings, the monarchs remind us that even the smallest creature can undertake the most extraordinary journey. Their migration is a story of strength, vulnerability, and the unbreakable threads that bind all living things. Against daunting odds, they persist, year after year, generation after generation, carried by the wind and guided by the wisdom of the wild. Across the windswept tundra, where the sun lingers on the horizon and the cold bites with unyielding teeth, a shadow moves in unison. The Arctic wolf, ghostly white and built for endurance, thrives where few others dare to tread. Here, survival is a test of unity and instinct. In the heart of winter, the pack emerges, a close-knit family bound by blood and necessity. Each wolf carries a role, from the vigilant alpha, who leads with quiet authority, to the yearlings learning the secrets of the hunt, to the pups, whose playful nips strengthen bonds that will one day mean life or death. Communication is a language of glances, low growls, and the brush of fur, a silent choreography honed by generations. Food is scarce. The snow conceals more than it reveals. The wolves' keen noses sift the wind for the faintest scent of muskox or Arctic hare. When prey is found, the pack moves as one, a blur of purpose and precision. The chase is relentless, driven by hunger and the knowledge that failure means another day without warmth in their bellies. Each member has a part to play. Some drive the herd, others flank and harry, while the strongest move in for the final sprint. When at last the prey falls, there is no greed, only order, as the alphas feed first, followed by the rest, from the eldest to the youngest. Nights are long and bitter. The wolves curl together, sharing body heat against the relentless cold. Their breaths rise as mist, mingling in the icy air. The aurora shimmers overhead, painting the snow in hues of green and violet, a fleeting beauty in a land ruled by survival. Yet even in this harshness, there is tenderness. A mother nuzzles her shivering pup, a sibling offers warmth to another, a low whine of reassurance travels through the pack. Danger is never far. The pack must defend its territory from rival wolves and scavenging foxes, and always the threat of starvation looms. Yet each hardship forges an unbreakable brotherhood. The wolves' loyalty is absolute, their trust hard-earned and never broken. As spring finally returns and the ice begins to thaw, the pack's world transforms. Hare tracks crisscross the softening snow, and new life stirs beneath the willows. Pups tumble from the den, blinking at the sudden brightness, while elders watch over them with wary pride. The cycle of teaching and learning begins anew, the ancient code carried forward by each generation. The Arctic wolves endure, not through strength alone, but through the unity of the pack. In this frozen wilderness, survival is not an individual triumph, but a testament to the bonds they share. Together they face the endless winter, and together they thrive, embodying the spirit of resilience in a world of ice and silence. Beneath the restless surface of the world's oceans, where sunlight fractures into shimmering ribbons and the blue deepens to mystery, an ancient mariner glides with quiet determination. The sea turtle, armored, ageless and alone, embarks on a journey few will witness, traversing thousands of miles through realms both perilous and profound. From her first trembling swim as a hatchling, the turtle is guided by senses incomprehensible to land-dwellers. She reads the magnetic field of the earth, an invisible map etched into her mind, leading her across open ocean to feeding grounds and, years later, back to the very beach where she once emerged. Her navigation is precise, a miracle of instinct and adaptation shaped by eons of migration. Currents become her highways. The turtle rides the Gulf Stream's swift embrace, passing beneath drifting sargassum mats, where juvenile fish hide, and the sun-dappled world above fades into the muted hush of the pelagic zone. Here, the water is alive with movement. Jellyfish pulse like translucent ghosts, schools of silver fish scatter in sudden flashes, and the shadows of distant predators glide in and out of vision. The turtle's shell bears the story of her life, the scars of ancient battles, the barnacles hitching silent rides, the algae that paint her carapace in shades of olive and gold. She is both fortress and wanderer, vulnerable to the jaws of sharks and the silent drift of discarded nets. Yet she endures, propelled by powerful flippers that carve through water with effortless grace. On the ocean floor, she pauses to graze on seagrass meadows, her beak clipping the blades with measured patience. In coral gardens, she nibbles on sponges, careful to avoid the stinging arms of anemones and the lurking moray eels. Each meal is a delicate balance, fuel for the Odyssey that lies ahead. Storms churn the surface, but deep below the world is tranquil. The turtle dives, lungs compressing, heart slowing to a near stillness, conserving oxygen for the long, dark passages. She is at home in the silence, her world painted in gradients of blue and the muted thrum of distant whale song. Night falls, and moonlight guides her ascent. She surfaces to breathe, her ancient eyes reflecting the stars. For a moment she is suspended between two worlds, one of boundless ocean, the other of endless sky. Her journey is solitary, yet not lonely. Each turtle follows the same invisible trails, crossing continents and crossing lifetimes. In time, she will return to the shore of her birth, hauling herself onto the sand to lay eggs that will begin the cycle anew. In the vastness of the ocean, the sea turtle's odyssey is a testament to endurance, memory, and the silent wisdom of the wild. She is a living link between continents and centuries, carving her path through the blue heart of the planet, an emblem of resilience, forever guided by the secrets of the sea. Across the boundless tundra, where the land stretches beneath an endless sky and the wind sculpts drifts of snow into silent waves, a great migration unfolds, ancient, relentless, and vital. The reindeer, known to some as caribou, gather in vast herds, their numbers swelling into the tens of thousands, each animal compelled by the same unyielding instinct: to move. Their journey is a test of endurance and unity, spanning hundreds of miles from winter's sheltering forests to the distant sunlit carving grounds of the north. With the first breath of spring, the herd stirs. Hooves strike frozen earth, breaking the crust of melting snow, leaving winding trails that thread through birch thickets and across icy rivers. The air is crisp, tinged with the sharp scent of lichen, their lifeblood during the lean months. As they move, the landscape transforms beneath them. The snow recedes, revealing mossy hummocks and shallow pools teeming with awakening life. Yet, the path is fraught with hardship. Swarms of biting insects rise with the warming air, clouding vision and nipping at tender skin. Predators, wolves lurking at the edges of the herd, golden eagles circling above. Watch for the weak, the young, the stragglers. Mothers, heavy with unborn calves, press on, their bodies lean but resolute. Calves are born into this world of motion, their first steps shaky but urgent, driven by the need to keep pace. The herd pauses only briefly for these new lives, then surges forward, a living river of antlers and fur. The reindeer's hooves are broad and splayed, designed to traverse both powdery snow and soggy tundra. Every footfall stirs the soil, aerating the moss and spreading seeds, an unintentional act of cultivation that sustains the very plants they rely on. As they graze, they trim the lichen and grasses, shaping the mosaic of the tundra and feeding countless other creatures: the Arctic fox, the snow bunting, the unseen multitudes of insects. Thunderstorms sweep the plains, and rivers swell with meltwater, forcing the herd to cross frigid currents. The strongest lead, swimming with heads held high, while the young are buoyed by the current and the urgency of survival. On the far bank, they regroup, damp, exhausted but undeterred. With each passing day, the midnight sun lingers longer on the horizon, casting golden light across velvet antlers and shimmering coats. The reindeer press on, guided by memory, the scent of distant meadows, and the subtle cues of the changing wind. In their endless trek, the reindeer shape the fate of the tundra. Their migration weaves together predator and prey, plant and soil, water and sky, a living thread in the fabric of the Arctic wild. Their journey is not merely survival, but a vital pulse in the heartbeat of the land, echoing across generations and seasons, as unbroken and enduring as the northern light. As dusk descends upon the rainforest, sunlight fades beneath a dense canopy, and the world transforms. Shadows stretch and deepen, cloaking the forest floor in darkness, a signal for a hidden cast of creatures to emerge. Night in the rainforest is not a silence, but a symphony composed by animals whose lives are lived in secrecy under the cover of darkness. A kinkajou with golden fur and wide, luminous eyes slips silently along a vine, its prehensile tail curling for balance. Guided by an acute sense of smell and touch, it searches for ripe fruit high in the branches, avoiding the keen gaze of night-hunting owls. Nearby, a spectral tarsier perches motionless, its oversized eyes drinking in every photon of moonlight. With a sudden leap, it snatches an unsuspecting cricket, its movements as silent as the drifting mist. On the forest floor, a jaguar prowls, paws muffled by layers of fallen leaves. Its rosette-patterned coat dissolves into the tapestry of shadow and foliage. The jaguar's night vision pierces the gloom, and its whiskers detect the faintest tremor, a rodent scurrying, a frog shifting in the undergrowth. The predator's patience is rewarded in a flash of muscle and claws. Above, a flying squirrel glides from tree to tree, its membrane outstretched, steering through the darkness with pinpoint precision. It lands softly, disturbing a sleeping toucan, who tucks its bill beneath its wing and drifts deeper into slumber. Meanwhile, a chorus of tree frogs begins, their calls pulsing through the humid air, signaling territory and desire. Some species blend seamlessly with moss and bark, their skin flecked with spots and stripes that mimic the dappled moonlight. The rainforest night is ruled by the senses. Fruit bats sweep between branches, navigating by echolocation, their high-pitched calls bouncing off trunks and leaves, mapping the world in sound. Below, a leaf-tailed gecko clings to rough bark, its flattened body and jagged outline making it nearly invisible to both predator and prey. With a flick of its tongue, it captures a moth, one of countless insects drawn to the faint glow of bioluminescent fungi that dot the forest floor. Predators and prey engage in a delicate dance of adaptation. Some, like the armadillo, don a suit of armor, shuffling cautiously, relying on smell and touch to forage for grubs beneath fallen logs. Others, such as the ocelot, move with calculated stealth, their padded feet and acute hearing finely tuned to the rustling of leaves and the flutter of wings. As hours pass, the rainforest teems with life unseen by day. Interactions are subtle but vital. A fruit dropped by a kinkajou seeds a new tree, a moth pollinates a rare orchid, a frog's song attracts both mates and rivals. Every creature, from the tiniest ant to the elusive jaguar, plays a role in this nocturnal web, maintaining the pulse of the forest long after the sun has set. When dawn's first light pierces the canopy, the nocturnal actors retreat, vanishing into hollows, burrows, and tangled vines. Their world slips back into shadow, leaving only faint tracks in the dew and echoes in the morning air, a silent testament to the rainforest's secret, vibrant nights. As the world's southernmost continent succumbs to the grip of endless polar night, a new Odyssey unfolds upon the frozen expanse. Here, in the heart of Antarctica, emperor penguins gather, an unyielding congregation of life in a place where even the sun abandons the horizon for months on end. Against a backdrop of sculpted icebergs and wind-lashed snowfields, thousands of penguins emerge from the sea, their sleek forms gliding across the ice with practiced efficiency. Each step is a testament to resilience. The cold is absolute, with temperatures plunging below 60 degrees and katabatic winds howling with the force of a hurricane. Yet, these birds have come not just to survive, but to create new life. The males take up their stations, tightly packed into a living fortress. Shoulder to shoulder, they form an unbroken huddle, conserving warmth in the face of the relentless Antarctic winter. Each penguin takes a turn on the perimeter, bracing against the biting wind, before shuffling inward to thaw in the shared heat of the group, a ceaseless rotation choreographed by necessity and instinct. Within the huddle, precious eggs are cradled atop their father's feet, swaddled beneath folds of feathered skin. The males stand motionless for weeks, fasting in the darkness, their bodies fueled only by reserves amassed during the summer's brief abundance. Hunger gnaws, but the drive to protect their fragile charges is stronger. Outside the huddle, the world is stark and treacherous. Blizzards sweep across the ice, erasing all sense of direction. Yet, far out at sea, the females hunt in frigid waters, diving to astonishing depths in pursuit of fish and krill. They are gone for weeks, traversing miles of shifting sea ice, their return guided by memory and an unwavering pull toward home. At last, when the sun's first rays fracture the long night, the females return, their bellies full, and their calls echoing across the ice. Reunions are brief but fierce, voices raised in a chorus that allows each chick to find its mother in the crowd, a feat of recognition amid thousands. The exchange is swift, food for the starving chick, relief for the weary father. In time, the chicks emerge, grey downy tufts braving their first Antarctic winds. They cluster in creches, miniature huddles mimicking the adults, learning the ancient dance of survival. The colony is alive with movement, with the calls of parents and young, with the watchful eyes of skuas circling overhead, ever alert for the weak and unwary. As the ice begins to thaw and the sea beckons, the colony stirs. Chicks shed their down, revealing the waterproof plumage of youth. Soon they will take their first uncertain steps toward open water, plunging into the unknown, repeating the journey that has defined their kind for millennia. In this realm of extremes, the emperor penguin's endurance is a living miracle, a testament to cooperation, sacrifice, and the unbreakable will to thrive where the world seems most inhospitable. Here, at the edge of existence, life persists, undaunted and magnificent.